I am taking you into my very own guest bedroom today, showing you how I created this tiny bedside table with the brand new Terra clay paint, gold leaf, and a textured top. Welcome to my channel, Tracey's Fancy, where I show up here every single Sunday with a new video showing you how to create beautiful things for your home. Always start with a good clean. I recommend White Lightning. It is a fabulous cleaner, and you can see right here exactly how much dirt and grime it removed from this table. Pretty impressive. We're going to start out using a gold leaf adhesive that is necessary for creating with any type of metal leaf, whether it's gold, silver, copper, it doesn't matter. You need to apply the adhesive and give it about 30 minutes to come to tack. While it's drying, we're going to move on to the top and add a textured surface. I chose to add a texture additive to the paint to create a textured surface because I know that this table will get a lot of use, and I wanted something that could withstand that and not show wear and tear. And when you add texture, you get it's just a lot more forgiving surface. So I'm using Dixie Belle's Sea Spray, and I've added a small amount of that to my paint called Malachite, and I'm just pouncing this on in a stippling technique, and we will let that set up and dry and then move on to the front where our gold leaf adhesive has now gotten sticky, and we'll start adding our gold leaf. Now you can't see where the adhesive is, but you can feel it. It's very, very sticky. So I actually had a note from someone this week asking why their gold leaf did not stick to their project. They used a top coat and they thought they could just stick the gold leaf into a top coat. That will not work. You have to use a metal leaf adhesive of some sort. It does not matter what brand it is, but you need to apply it, give it enough time to get sticky, and then you just start adding your sheets. I'm using copper and gold here. I'm just applying it in a haphazard manner with no sort of pattern. I stick it on with my hands and I brush it off, all of the excess off with just a soft brush. Once I've got that where I like it, it's time to move back to our textured surface now. We've given this probably about 30 minutes to set up, and I'm using a large palette knife here to just knock back any of the sharp peaks or mountains that I've created with the texture and just sort of smooth and flatten out that top surface. We'll come back and paint that here in just a little bit. All right, so let's move on to the rest of the table. Let's start with the legs here. I'm going to move my gold leaf scraps out of the way. I've got my malachite. I'm starting with the malachite again, and I'm applying it with a premium chip brush here, just in a very, very casual method. There's nothing, I'm not worried about brush strokes. I have no overall design in mind. I'm just starting with the malachite at the bottom. Now I'm adding onyx here. I know that this is in high speed. We'll go over the colors and the blending details a little bit more here in a minute in a slower speed, but I just want to show you how I work the colors from top to bottom. Blending in colors as I get closer to the leaf. I'm not trying to make the metal leafing look like paint, but I am trying to make my paint go up to the metal leaf edge naturally. So you can see I'm adding some pinks in the corners and some purples. This is bougainvillea and elderberry. Those are the colors. But now I'm bringing in a little bit of orange, and I'm even going to add a little bit of yellow next to the gold. The orange I'm putting up next to the copper. That's paint next to the copper. And then I'll be bringing in the yellow that will be next to the gold. And then I'm just picking up my larger brush and sort of buffing that out or clouding that out, blurring those edges. And you can see how it's all starting to become one pattern and not look so different from one another. Now I'm carrying over the pink and the purple over the top, even though that top will not be green in the end. I'm just taking my design up over the top so it doesn't come to a sudden end. That's really important when you're designing a piece, to think about not having sudden stops in the piece. Okay, so now that I've shown you how to add the gold leaf to the front and sort of marry these colors together, we're going to move on to the rest of the piece. I'm not going to be adding any more copper or gold leaf around the sides or the top of this piece. We're just going to carry and blend some of the clay-based paints around the sides and on the legs. But I do want to show you on this piece, look at this leafing. So do you see as I move it, how it catches the light like this direction? It doesn't look so metallic, but as I move it around, it catches the light. And I love this if you have a piece like this, as the day progresses and the sun moves on around the light in your room, it'll catch differently depending on what time of day it is. And that's really, really cool. The top of the piece is heavily textured, and I do have it in this malachite green color. You can see all of the cracking and heavy texture that we built up in here by adding sea spray to our Terra clay paint. The top is not going to be this color green. We're actually going to carry the pink and the mulberry color up over the top, and then this will be an underlayer that will expose and as we wipe off some of the paint, or we do like a wet distressing. I'm going to clean up a little on the front of the piece. If you remember, I told you that the yellow and the orange color are a little bit transparent. You can see through them a little bit. So I need to go and just sort of deepen in where the orange and the yellows are here, right here, as they fade into the gold. So I'm just gonna add just a small brush, a little tiny bit of this paint back here and blend it into the pink. So that's what we're gonna do now. So now we're back to the legs. We're going to try to have all 4 legs match each other as best I possibly can. So I'm using several different colors as I work my way up the leg. I'm using again, just a regular size premium chip brush as I layer the colors on, and then I just sort of blend those colors out just like you watched me do on the front drawer. You just want to blur out those edges so that it doesn't just go from green to blue. You want to sort of cloud out those edges, and that's what I'm doing right there. You can see how it was a sharp edge and now it's just blended together. So I just do that as I work my way around the table. Okay, all of our legs are done, no matter what angle you look at them from bottom to top. And now we are going to move on to the last 3 sides. The sides I'm going to tone down just a little bit. I'm probably just going to use 3 colors. Right now I'm using the elderberry purple. I'm going to pick up a little bit of bougainvillea pink, and then I'm going to add the marigold, which is a little bit of an orangey yellow color. I'm just going to use my chip brush to blend all 3 of these colors together. And then while I have some of that purple still on my brush, I just dry brush any edges that I can possibly lay down a little bit of that color over some of the other colors, just to sort of marry the entire design together. And then after the paint has had a little bit of time to set up, I go back over it and just do a lateral, horizontal, and a vertical brush just to sort of blend it all out. And doesn't it look so beautiful? It looks like velvet. Time to tackle the top. I'm going to take that same elderberry color, and now I'm going to bring it up over the edge. Remember, all sides I brought that color up over the edge anyway, so now I'm bringing it all the way up over, and I'm using that marigold color in the middle. Now you see me spraying a little bit of water. You notice I have not used any water on this piece so far, but because it's textured, it's a little bit harder to get that paint to move around, so I'm just adding a little bit of water, and that allows me to pick up my Besting wax brush and really sort of blend these colors together. It gives a beautiful glowy look, which is exactly what I was going for. Sometimes you get a little brush hair in there, you got to pick that out. I'm just going to go for this glowy look, and then I'm going to go back and enhance all of those textured surfaces. I'm using a baby wipe to wipe back some of the areas so that my textured surface actually comes through. A little bit of that malachite green I want to show from underneath. So now that I've got the top sort of muted out, and I want to add a little bit more of the bold color, bring it up around on the top. So this isn't quite dry, but I've already highlighted this area over here with a new layer of pink just in the corners. So I'm going to do the same thing. It's just my dry pink brush, and I'm just going to bring this brighter pink up onto this corner a little bit. Like I said, the paint is not completely dry. It doesn't matter if you do it when it's wet or dry, but you'll just want to bring that up just a little bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on this far corner here. Just using my dry chip brush and adding that pink just like that. Take note how I lay that brush down sideways. It's a very dry brush, and I'm just adding that pink to those raised areas. Also, keep in mind, I know this is a small table, but this is actually a small piece that represents a much larger piece that I'm also working on simultaneously that I did in my private group. So this is a larger piece. You can see the same exact look. I haven't even started on the top of this piece, but everything that I'm doing to this piece, I will also do to this piece. This is Terra Seal Matte, and the reason I'm using this is clay paint needs to be sealed. And I also want to use Best Dang Wax Black over it, and that will reactivate my paint because it's a water-based wax. So before I can do my dark wax, I need to seal what I've done here. It's just sort of like locking in your color. So I'm just going to put one single coat over this, and do not overwork this. If I were to stay in one place and continue to brush, it would actually lift my paint off of the surface. Just continue to move across, just giving one light single layer. Now on the front here, I'm just stippling a light layer over the chalk paint. I don't want to put this over that gold leaf. It would mute the gold leaf, and I don't want to do that. All right, and last but not least, I am using Best Dang Wax. I've just got a large soft brush. I've also got a small soft brush. This is a water-based wax, so you can remove as much as you want. My top coat is now dry. I've already added a little bit of black wax into this corner. As you can see, this corner is a lot brighter. So I'm just gonna take this small brush and load up some black wax here into the corner, just like this, kind of moving it in a circular motion. And then you can wipe off this if you don't like it. I want it to be pretty shadowed and shaded to kind of knock back some of the really bright colors. But if you don't like that look, you can just take your rag here and rub it, and it will lighten it out quite a bit. So here I'm doing the same thing I did with the pink earlier. I've got black wax on my brush, and I'm just laying it sideways, and I'm lightly picking up all of that texture. This is just another layer. That's the beauty of clay-based paint. It's just adding more layers, one on top of the other. And I really, really like the depth that the black gives. But now we need to enhance with some gold, because as far as I'm concerned, no project is complete until you've got a little bit of gold on it. This is the Gold Gilding Wax by Dixie Belle and my Big Daddy brush, and I am just sort of raking that brush very dry-like over the edge, and then I just use my finger. I don't know why I put the brush handle there where you can't see, but I just use my finger to kind of blend it out. You can see how I'm running it over the edge, and then I'm just gonna run my finger over the edge so that I sort of blend it into the finish. And again, I'm gonna pick up those raised textured layers one more time with a little bit of gold, and we are almost done. And there you go. Look at that table by that velvet bedspread and that butterfly wallpaper. Doesn't that look amazing? I love the end product. I love the textured surface. I know with absolute confidence that this table will withstand anything that my guest can throw at it. I loved this project. I hope you did too. Please subscribe to my channel. I will be here next Sunday with another project.